There are those Kenyans who believe very firmly that now that Ruto has gone into some kind of arrangement with Raila Odinga, now that Ruto has the four previously most senior officials of the ODM party in his cabinet, now that that has happened, the Ruto presidency will survive comfortably to the year 2027. There are many Kenyans who believe that. Well, we have done a survey featuring Kenyans in the country, Kenyans out of the country in the diaspora, from all walks of life, right across the country, and the results are super fascinating. And we pose the question directly: will the Ruto presidency survive now that it has ODM people in the cabinet? Well, a very staggering percentage, almost 70%, said no, the Ruto presidency will not survive. The masses cannot be wrong, especially if your poll has something to do with politics. And it is clear that the vast majority of Kenyans believe that this presidency will not survive. Now, in my opinion, it is a breath of fresh air to get the views of others, something different from what Kumekucha Chris is always saying. And so there you have it, complete with the numbers. And we're talking about Kenyans, both in the country and outside the country, and also Kenyans from every single corner you can imagine of this country. Now, of course, the narrative and the impression politicians are giving us is the very opposite of what the vast majority of Kenyans believe, according to this Kumekucha poll. Okay? They're telling us everything is okay. They're giving us the impression the Ruto presidency is here to stay. In fact, it will survive to the year 2027. But by far the most fascinating narrative so far has come from the ODM chaps who are in the Ruto cabinet. Bwana Wycliffe Oparanya, former governor of Kakamega, over the weekend, told Kenyans that now things are very different, because in case Ruto does not toe the line and focus on the people, focus on improving lives, especially with ideas from Oparanya, John Mbadi, Ali Hassan Joho, Opiyo Wandayi, the ODM 4. If Ruto does not toe the line, the ODM guys are going to resign en masse. And that will be the end of the broad-based government. Or in other words, if they don't like what Ruto is doing, they will resign en masse. And of course the assumption is that these resignations will put the Ruto regime in a crisis. Now, I beg to differ, because this narrative, according to me, is false, and for many reasons. Number one, Ruto is still the boss. And when you have a boss, everything you do, everything you want to try, has to be approved by the boss. Bottom line, as a cabinet secretary in the Ruto government, there will be very little room, if any, to maneuver. And that's not all. We all know that Ruto is a micromanager. That is just the way the man is. He can't change, let alone change overnight. And therefore, the reality is that the ODM 4 will either succeed with Ruto or fail and sink with Ruto. It's as simple as that. And there's more. I don't know if most Kenyans know this, but the ODM 4 cannot even use their position to assist the opposition, cannot even use their position to leak secrets or give a heads up to the opposition. They can't. Why? Because of something called the Official Secrets Act. Immediately you're sworn in as a CS, by the way, anywhere in the world, not necessarily just in Kenya, you're bound by the Official Secrets Act. You cannot even be a whistleblower. Even if you saw it with your own eyes, you're bound by the Official Secrets Act. And so what Oparanya was telling the people, most probably in a desperate attempt to gain popularity, or is it to regain popularity with the people, is false. It is lies. It is not true. It is not practical. Anyway, let us now go into 3 solid reasons why the Ruto presidency cannot survive. Reasons why the vast majority of Kenyans are correct in believing this is a regime which is living on borrowed time. It is already gone. It is only a matter of time. And reason number 3, which I'm sure you'll not see coming, is the clincher. But before we do that, please allow me a few moments to introduce the sponsors for our show today and for several videos during this month. LemFi, formerly Lemonade Finance. Now this is an app for sending money to your loved ones back home. And you can send money to at least 10 African countries. Kenya, of course, Ghana, Nigeria, Uganda, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, Rwanda, Senegal, Benin Republic, and Tanzania. And there are a couple of advantages here. 0 transaction fees, one of the best exchange rates on the market. Direct transfer either to a bank account or even to Mpesa. And then, wait for this one, you can also receive money from Kenya. And again, 0 transaction fees. I suggest that you try it out. You may just like it. And if you can use my code, which you can see on your screens right now, KUMEKACHA, not Kumekucha, KUMEKACHA, you'll be able to receive $30 back for your first transaction that is above $100. Try it out and let me know how it goes. Right, back to what we're discussing. And before I give you solid reason number 1, I need to ask you a question. What ordinarily would keep a government in power? And especially a very unpopular government like the current Ruto regime. What would keep them in power? And I will even give you a clue. What kept the colonial government in power, despite the fact that they were so unpopular? Kept them in power for decades. What is the secret? Well, simply put, divide and rule. As long as the people are divided, you can get away with a lot of things. You can remain in power as long as you divide the people. And now it makes perfect sense why our politicians have always promoted tribalism. And we have been fools to believe them. Wewe ni mtu wa Mount Kenya, wewe ni Mkikuyu, mnachukiwa na wale wengine. Wewe ni Mjaluo, Wakikuyu wapendi Wajaluo. Wewe ni Mkamba, Mwikamba, watu wanadharau Wakamba, etc., etc. All that narrative promotes tribalism and promotes, very important, division amongst the people. And so solid reason number 1 why the Ruto presidency cannot survive is that Kenyans are not divided enough to be ruled by the Ruto regime. Indeed, Ruto has done an excellent job in uniting Kenyans. How did he do this? By touching their money, by raiding their pockets via punitive taxes. The very minute he took his first steps, he had finished himself. It was just a matter of time, because now all Kenyans are united behind the clarion call of Ruto must go. And trust me, this Ruto must go thing is not going to go away anytime soon. And it doesn't matter that ODM has joined government. It doesn't. Solid reason number 2, I will put in the following way. The trends we have seen so far in the country. the trends of this Ruto Kenya Kwanza government. They have been moving from one blunder to another, and these blunders are endless. And some of these blunders have really cost them. Yeah, like Finance Bill 2024, which Ruto was forced to withdraw. What was the cost of that one to the Ruto regime? You can be sure it was huge. And even as we speak, the blunders continue. Even as we speak, the Ruto government continues to move from crisis to crisis. Therefore, something called stability of a government is a pipe dream as far as the Ruto regime is concerned. So tell me, do you honestly think that a government that is operating like that will arrive in the year 2027? You tell me. Solid reason number 3, the economy. Now, history tells us, if the economy of a country is good, if people have money in their pockets, then bad governance can survive almost forever. But if an economy is doing badly, even a good government will not survive. I believe we're all aware, very keenly aware, of the state of our economy. And I'm told, mambo bado. Bottom line, if nothing else removes the Ruto regime, if everything else fails, then the economy will get them. It's as simple as that. Solid reason number 4 is not for everybody, but it is very solid. The spiritual signs. And I'm not even talking about the many predictions about the fate of the Ruto administration. No. I'm especially talking about the spiritual sign of rejection. You know, if you're rejected, even in a relationship, in a marriage, if you're rejected in a family, etc., etc., it is only a matter of time before you're kicked out. Isn't that true? The same applies to a government. Spiritually, this is a government that has been rejected. Rejected by the people, and many also telling us, rejected by Almighty God. You know, there's something that has happened to me very many times. I have done a video, and I've said something, and later on, I've had somebody confront me and tell me, Chris, you said this and that. Some of it was very controversial, but you didn't give us the reasons. You didn't back it up. And then I realized that many times I assume that the information I have, most of my audience has, which is obviously not the case. And I'm sure we all know that somebody who has information and somebody who has very little information will hardly have the same opinion. And the opinion of the person with little information is very close to just guesswork. Well, you have a golden opportunity to correct this by taking advantage of my latest offer. For example, Jimmy Wanjigi is in the news a lot right now, but there's a lot of information linked to him and about him that is not in the public domain. Well, my latest offer has some sizzling 2 videos that will blow your mind. And there's a lot of other information, like the Saitoti, Professor George Saitoti helicopter accident. I'm telling you, this exposure of sensitive, previously unknown information is so much that it is difficult for most Kenyans to take in and digest. But of course, most of it is not news to regulars, those who have been with the Kumekucha brand for a number of years, because they have had this information for a long time. And in case you're in the group of those who don't know what I'm talking about, you now have the perfect chance of getting all this information, plus all my previous special reports, in case you missed all of them or some of them, in an amazing package that will cost you only $19.99, Kenya shillings 1,999, or $15, You can see details on your screens right now on how you can get this very valuable package in your email and ultimately in your library of sensitive information that not many people have. From yours truly, stuff about the Saitoti chopper accident that will just blow your mind. Crazy information about the aborted coup of 1982, coupled with very recent information in my recent special reports that is now more relevant than ever, like the one about Ruto secrets that are still not in the public domain, and also on the General Ogola chopper tragedy. A truly amazing package for only $19.99. And of course, because of the sensitivity of a lot of this material, this offer is available only for a very short time, maximum 48 hours. So you'll need to move fast to avoid being left out. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.